Huddle up, Steelers Nation. It's Tank and Mike for Steelers Chalk Talk. Mike, before we get going here, you're an old quarterback. Were you ever in the hunt for the Heisman? Up there at Rutgers. How do you pronounce that?
Rutgers. No.
Okay.
No.
You weren't, but Kenny Pickett is.
I think I got one vote, but it was from my quarterback coach.
Is that right? Okay. Well, kudos to Kenny Pickett and my PITT Panthers. Well, whatever happens up there in New York with the Heisman, great season.
Well, yeah, he's going to go in there.
Did you ever do this?
The fake slide?
Yeah, did you ever do that?
I'll tell you what, that's going to be a rule change in all leagues next year. I guarantee it. Watch. It's going to be unsportsmanlike conduct, or if you it's going to be like similar to a fair catch and then you take off and run. You have to do something because, people are even talking about it. It's how someone's going to end up getting hurt.
Tommy Flynn, for you people out there in Pittsburgh and Pitt fans, way back in 1908, Tommy Flynn, defensive back, played for the Green Bay Packers, did one of the greatest waves like this and caught the ball and took off. It was beautiful.
Who's Tommy Flynn?
Yeah, you're younger than I am. I'm old.
Go.
I played with leather helmets. All right, let's talk about some Steelers beating the Ravens. How do you like that one, especially with that defensive performance?
It was good. It is a situation where, you come out of that game feeling great about yourself. If you're a Steelers fan, if you're a Steeler, everything is going your way. If Mark Andrews catches that football, you're coming out of that game, we can't win, we can't do that. So, again, football is a game of inches, but somehow, some way, they found a way to get that win.
The way is Superman up in the air. TJ Watt, he was in Jackson's face all day long, and at the crucial moment of the game, there he is in his face again, in his head, forcing him to throw that ball. TJ Watt might not only be the defensive player of the year, but in my opinion, he's in contention for NFL Player of the Year. I'm tired of quarterbacks like you. I'm tired of quarterbacks and running backs. I want a defensive player like TJ Watt.
He may get the Defensive Player of the Year.
Why not NFL Player of the Year? He's a game changer. He's a game changer. Name me an offensive player that's a game changer other than Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Rodgers. He's playing out his
Mahomes.
mind.
Justin Jefferson, what he just did last week without an Adam Thielen, all those catches, a touchdown over 170 yards. The Steelers are going to have to focus.
All right, who's playing better, TJ Watt or Mahomes at this point? TJ Watt.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers is. Look, the Steelers can steal a win. They can get some wins without TJ Watt. The Packers are going to struggle without Aaron Jones.
All right, I'm just throwing that out there because.
But what you're saying is TJ Watt, heck of a player, making plays all over the field. Tons of sacks, finding ways to create turnovers. We just talked about it. If they don't get, if Andrews catches that football, the Steelers, they're out of it. This is it. We're done. It's a game of inches. Again, it wasn't something. The Steelers found a way to get a win. It wasn't something at that end, at that play. That wasn't anything the Steelers did. It was a little bit of an off-the-mark throw. Mark Andrews couldn't pull it in. They couldn't execute. Okay, but you can make the argument TJ Watt was up there in his face. I think the Ravens knew that. I was a little surprised by the call, leaving the best player on the Pittsburgh Steelers unblocked. But he did enough to disrupt the Lamar Jackson. He did enough, just enough to disrupt that ball, maybe by an inch off the mark.
Right. Well, and that was a culmination
and it was
of
a
the
good
whole
enough
game.
throw to be caught.
Him in his face the whole game.
Exactly.
And you know what? I hate to go on the TJ Watt thing here, but what we're witnessing here is a generational player, as they like to say, a once-in-a-lifetime player. I know it's still early in his career, Mike, but this kid is doing things with his body that just are unremarkable, unprecedented. You've got to list him already up there with the greats like Reggie White, Mean Joe Green, some of the greatest defensive linemen in NFL history. You've had some of the best chasing you around.
Look at him.
How good is he?
He's an outside linebacker, and that's what he's listed as. Let's be honest, he's really a defensive end. They do drop him into coverage every once in a while, and I do not like it. And
you don't like him in the middle of the field? Playing inside linebacker? Lamar
Jackson missed a touchdown on a seam route that TJ Watt was trying to drop and get underneath, and quite honestly, he's you don't want your best pass rusher dropping in the pass coverage.
Right.
Get him, you don't see the highlights of Lawrence Taylor dropping in the pass coverage so much. You see him rushing the passer. And Lawrence Taylor was a linebacker that changed the game. Well, that's what TJ Watt is. And you don't want him dropping the pass coverage. You want him handing the dirt, rushing the passer. And the reason what makes him so good is, he's got good technique. He came in and he's fast. He was fast when he came in. Little undersized. He's bulked up a little bit. He's got that speed. He's got the technique. He's a student of the game. What makes him so special to me is if you do an analogy of a football player to a movie, TJ Watt is Rocky. He just never quits, never gives up.
No.
He could rush around, get swiped past. Lamar Jackson makes a miss, then comes up, and other guys are chasing Lamar Jackson. And who comes up and will create a strip fumble?
Out of
TJ
nowhere.
Watt.
Yep.
And you saw the respect that Lamar Jackson at one point gave TJ Watt, and TJ Watt gave it back.
Right.
He's kind of stopped, but that shows you the speed that he has, and the motor he has, and the will, the pure will that he has, that he's never going to quit on a play. That's what makes TJ Watt so special. I think that's what it really is. He is the Rocky of the NFL. You grew up in those movies where we watched and you just never quit. You're down on the mat. TJ Watt's that guy, and that's the reason why he's so special.
I'm going to say Humphrey Bogart and the African Queen, and you probably don't know what that is. Hey, the fact that TJ is flying around like Superman, like a madman, gave Chris Wormley a chance to get 2.5 sacks. I love what Wormley's doing. He's coming on. Tuitt's out. Yeah, he's not coming back this season. He may not be back next season, considering how Wormley's playing. Wormley played really well. You got to look at Cam Hayward's play all season
He's always
long.
a leader. He's the leader in the center. And
he's doing things, Mike, you shouldn't be able to do. He's taking on double teams, stopping them, knocking balls down. I mean, what Hayward is doing is unbelievable.
And here's the thing that makes them so special. Hayward is that he's also that leader that you want, that veteran guy that plays smart, that gets it. Hey, look, this is not just a game. This is a business. We got to produce and we got to go out there. We're not going to play music at practice, okay? Hayward gets it. He's a leader. And with him and Watt leading your defense, all of a sudden, when you're a defender and you see TJ Watt, that motor just going nonstop, that makes everyone else push a little more. TJ Watt raises the play.
If you have any pride.
Because look, there's times when he's got to come off the field because he's worn himself down and he's earned it. But when everyone starts putting that extra effort, you start seeing a little bit more subs come in and out, and you get guys that are fresher, but they're going 100% all the time. This is play of football right now, and TJ Watt is giving it every single play.
Mike alluded to what I call the flex defense with this Steelers when you see TJ Watt playing an inside linebacker position.
I don't like the flex defense.
I don't like it at all, but it's a necessity at this point.
Did you hear the stat that was given by Nance with Tony Romo on that name? This is the worst run defense they've had since 1965.
Right.
This is not, look, the hybrid linebacker's not getting it done.
This is where I was going.
Run the football.
This is where I was going. I call it a flex defense that Butler and Tomlin are running right now. You have a real problem. We've known this for a couple games right now at inside linebacker. You can attribute the Predators' Devin Bush's problems with his ACL and not healed up. He's a little tentative. I don't know what you put it on Schobert, okay? But here's the thing. Mike alluded to it. These hybrid linebackers that Coach Tomlin likes, they're undersized guys. They're not Brian Urlacher's size. The reason he likes them is because they can, help in this passing league, right, to run with tight ends. But the problem, if you start with the tight ends, George Kittle, Kelsey,
even Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews.
Lamar Jackson
He's
missed him a
here.
few times.
Bush is here.
Yeah, and it's just a height mismatch. And you go down that middle seam of the field, and you put a little height underneath the ball, and it's very easy. It's so there is a mismatch in the center of the field. But I mean, when it comes to running, and I know this is 2 games ago, but Joe Mixon just embarrassed the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mike, here's
and the The reason why Joe Burrow was able to do that, or not Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon was able to do that, is because he's got Joe Burrow, he's got Higgins, he's got Jamar Chase.
You mean balance?
And he's got
balance.
Okay, you look at the Ravens, Lamar Jackson. I
He's
respect
not a quarterback.
his game, but he's not the quarterback that Joe Burrow is. He
No.
doesn't have the accuracy, the arm strength, the vision as far as seeing his receivers. He's got the vision of seeing running lanes, but he does not see the vision of seeing the receivers down the field with live bullets coming
It's
at
sandlot
you.
football.
Okay, so Lamar Jackson's a little different. Now the Steelers come on, they got the Vikings this week. Yeah, they've got some balance, but they're missing Thielen and they're missing Dalvin Cook. So now they can take away Justin Jefferson. Hey, let's double him, let's X him out and focus on Madison. Okay, make someone else beat us. Make Kirk Cousins beat us. And he's not the greatest quarterback, but he's better than Lamar Jackson. Then you've got the Vikings, you've got the Chiefs, and who was that last game?
You got the tall man of Tennessee coming up. You got the Chiefs.
Tennessee.
You got the Ravens yet, and you got
the Vikings,
the Browns.
the Titans. No Derrick Henry.
Yep.
But you got a mobile quarterback in Tannehill, and maybe he gets Julio Jones back. They're without A.J. Brown, so the stars are aligning. They're going to face the Chiefs. Maybe the Chiefs are without Mahomes, without Kelsey, or maybe they get lucky and get without Tyreek Hill. And then they've got the Browns and the Ravens again. So everything is lined up for the Steelers to make a run, but if you can run the football
quarterback, hold on.
balance, the Steelers do not have the pieces.
They don't have inside linebackers, okay?
No.
Going back to that full circle, here's the problem right now with the hybrid linebackers, the way I see it. They're undersized. So we talked about the tight ends, not being able to stay on them. The second part, and Nick Mixon with the Bengals is a prime example of this. These undersized linebackers, I'm creeping down a little bit to overextenuate here, get lost in the blocking on the line. Ideally, Mike, you know this, a linebacker should shuffle down the line, and get into the hole, read your guards, read the tackles. They are getting lost in the wash because the linemen are that much bigger than them. They can't get off the blocks. They can't get to the hole. They can't make a tackle. This failed experiment with the hybrid linebackers isn't working.
And
you can have, in my opinion, let me close this out. You can have one, but you need a Brian Urlacher on the other side to complement him.
There's not too many Brian Urlachers in this day, but
I'm using him as an analogy, but bigger, stronger, faster to take on a guard, throw him, and get. You're completely out of balance right now. And I don't understand why Coach Tomlin and Coach Butler haven't seen this yet. And you go back, you've heard me talk about this before, I'm sorry, but it's one of the weak Achilles heels on this team. It goes back to the year we lost Ryan Shazier, and they grabbed the guy off the bench to play against Jacksonville Kitty Cats here, and Leonard Fournette ran all over the hybrid linebacker. And Bortles threw, for 90 yards, and they beat us.
Yeah, and so
enough of the hybrid linebackers.
If you have the faster hybrid linebacker, typically they're I haven't seen one tall enough, so they're a little shorter, and they don't have the weight that most guys have. And if that wasn't an issue, we got to keep the speed. If that wasn't an issue, you could sit there and say, look, I want 5 offensive linemen that are nice, slim and trim. They're fast. Let's get them out there and run and block for us. If you don't have that weight, you can't block or you can't take on the blocks. So there's an issue. So that's what makes Cam Hayward so valuable, because he is actually taking on those blocks for those linebackers and helping them out. And they're getting a little help, but they get exposed in the passing game. Now, back to your point about the hybrid linebacker, you're right. 100% failed experiment. Perfect example. Look at last night's game. The New England Patriots, Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, Micah Hyde, Poyer, these safeties coming down. I saw, they made some good tackles, but I saw a few times they were just getting dragged. And let me tell you something. 3 pass plays. 3 pass plays. One was a screen, one was an incompletion, and one was tipped up in the air. And so they just ran the ball and said, tackle us. And if you can't beat a team doing that,
are we looking at a New England-Tampa Super Bowl?
I'm just saying,
are we looking at a New England-Tampa Super Bowl?
No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that, because you're going to maybe if it goes through New England, because the way they ran and blocked last night, it was ridiculous. But
AFC's wide
if
open.
you don't know how to tackle, if you can't stop that run game, you're going to have issues. You have to be able to stop the run game.
You just brought up the third point I wanted to hit on with this Steelers defense. And again, loving TJ Watt, NFL MVP player of the year.
Defensive.
Cam Hayward doing a great job. The inside linebackers are an absolute mess. Getting into the secondary play, we finally saw Minka have a good game, an interception. I like what he's doing. He's been trying to do too much. But talking about tackling again, I was thinking about this watching the Ravens game. The Steelers need to hire a tackling coach. That's all I want him to do. He works with the defensive backs. Then he works with the inside linebackers. Then he works with the defensive linemen.
Well,
then they go through. I want a tackling coach. I am tired of this. That is not a tackle.
Well, let me tell
I
you-
am tired of that. That is not a tackle. A tackle, I ain't going to hurt you, quarterback. You roll your hips and you come up and you whack people.
Yeah, and you're
If you start hitting people, the wide receivers start getting scared and looking in alligator hands.
But now
running backs get beat up and get tired. Hire a tackling coach.
well, no, and the thing is, you're not going to get those guys putting their
You think
arms
I'm
out.
fired up about that?
Yeah, you can be fired up about it, but the way the rules protect the offensive players now, the defense is at a disadvantage. So you're already at this. You're not. So these offensive guys, the defensive guys are getting smaller and faster. You talked about it already. Your offensive guys are getting bigger and stronger. These bigger receivers, these bigger running backs. But this is
Derrick Henry.
You're not going to go up, and you're not going to take him on waist high or chest high and wrap up. You can't
Why?
do it.
Because you're afraid to get hurt.
No, because you are
Terrell
going to get hurt.
Edmonds,
Because they're too
afraid
big.
to get hurt.
When you expand your arms like this, that's when the shoulder injury comes with the safeties and the corners. So that's why they
It's
all
a
tuck.
violent
That's
sport.
why they all tuck and they got to go low for the
It's
legs.
a violent
I get
sport.
it. I get it, but no, I disagree with you on the tackling. Hey,
Well, do you want to win or do you want to be 500 at the end of the season?
find a way.
Find me Ronnie Lott.
Find a way.
Find me Ronnie Lott.
Yeah, he bit a finger off.
He sawed it off because he was. If you don't know the Ronnie Lott story, you younger guys played for San Francisco. He'd knock your teeth off. He broke his finger the week before in the NFC divisional game, and it was sticking that way. And he said, "Sorry, you can't play in the Super Bowl." And he said, "Sorry, Dad, cut it off." That's commitment. That's the kind of commitment I want.
Good luck finding that.
All right, so as we close out this segment about the Steelers defense, they get the win over the
That's
Ravens, and that's all I care
They
about.
found a way,
Yeah.
whether the Ravens couldn't execute that 2-point play or not, they found a way to get the win.
Well, you know what I heard it was? They listened to the soundtrack for The Sound of Music that week at practice.